You are standing in the footwear section of an outdoor gear store at 10:17 on a Wednesday morning, trying on trail runners in a store that is mostly empty because most people who come here come on weekends when they have time. You have time. That is the new part. A woman named Claire asks if you are finding everything okay. You say yes. She asks if you are taking some time off. You pause with one shoe half on. Something like that, you say. Which is what you have been saying for 3 months. You are 38. Claire looks maybe 33. The true answer is that you stopped working in the spring, not because anything went wrong, but because the math said you did not have to anymore. On the way out, she asks if you are retired. You say yes. It is the first time you have said it to a stranger without adding an explanation after. The walk to the parking lot feels different because of it, like something shifted about 4 degrees, not a lot. Enough. The Thursday it actually landed was ordinary in the way most important Thursdays are, 7:12 in the morning. You logged into your brokerage account the way you did most mornings, half habit, half proof it was still there. The number read $1,247,000. 25 times your annual spending is $1,150,000. The rule with 3 decades of market data behind it. The one that says a portfolio of that size, withdrawn from at 4% per year, has survived every crash and recession that modern markets have produced. Not a guarantee. A historical pattern strong enough that people have built their lives around it. You were $97,000 past the line. You sat at the kitchen table until the coffee went cold and thought about what it meant that the number had crossed without making any noise. You started at 23, entry-level data analyst, $56,000 a year. A woman named Sandra in HR walked you through the 401k enrollment. She mentioned that most people put in just enough to get the company match. You put in 12%. The raises came slowly, then faster. By 29, you were making $87,000. By 35, $145,000. And your spending almost did not move. $145,000 coming in. $46,000 going out. The difference going into an index fund you mostly ignored. You drive a car with 83,000 miles on it. Your apartment is $1,750 a month. You eat well, you travel occasionally. You just do not do those things at the frequency that $145,000 tends to invite. Over 15 years, you put in about $530,000 of your own money into the 401k first, then the maximum once you could afford it, then a taxable brokerage once the 401k was full. The market did the other $717,000. You did not pick stocks. You did not time anything. You bought a fund that tracks the entire market and left it alone. $530,000 in. $717,000 from compounding. $1,247,000 total. 15 years of weekends still intact. The morning after your last day, you woke up at 6:48 and stayed in bed for the first time in years. Not because you were tired, because you could. The whole architecture of your morning was gone. The alarm, the coffee timed before the shower, the notifications already waiting, and the space where it used to be was enormous and slightly alarming. A man named Gary 2 streets over was out with pruning shears and a mug. You had passed his house 200 times and never knew his name. Sabbatical? He asked. No, you said. I think this is more permanent. He went back to his rose bushes. The street was very quiet in a way it apparently always was on weekday mornings. You just had never been there to hear it. Marcus texts you at 11:43 on a Tuesday. He is a senior PM at a fintech company. $162,000 base. Stock options vesting in 18 months. A new house that he and his wife stretched for because it was the right neighborhood to stretch for. He sends you a screenshot of a message from his manager, a launch that moved to next week with a deadline that did not. And below it, just 2 words, not good. You are on a trail outside Golden when he calls. His daughter just started walking. He is describing it over the phone from a glass conference room while watching it on a monitor on his second screen. You do not say anything about that. There is nothing useful to say. Marcus is 39. He has about $180,000 saved. He told you twice he would get serious about investing once things settled down. Things do not settle down. That is the part you could not figure out how to say. 25 times what Marcus spends is over $4 million. He is not a third of the way there. He will retire at 63 or 64 and mean it when he says it was worth it. He just will not have had Tuesdays. What you did not expect is how much of it you carry alone, not because anyone would begrudge you the number, because there is nowhere to put it down that anyone else can pick up. The second Wednesday, you drove to the library because the apartment was quiet in a way that felt less like peace and more like a room with the furniture removed. At a table by the window, a man with a newspaper and a thermos. Around your third visit, he asked without looking up, "What happened to you?" Not what do you do? What happened? You told him. Product manager, 15 years, out since spring. He nodded and said he ran logistics for a distribution company for 31 years before his knees made the decision. 63 when he stopped. He said the two of you were probably the only people in the building under 70 on a Wednesday who were not there to escape something. You laughed. It landed closer to true than either of you said out loud. The broker's name is Teresa. She works out of a strip mall office and does this for a living, walking people like you through the math that nobody explains at a job. You tell her you are pulling $46,000 a year from the brokerage account, mostly long-term capital gains. She goes quiet, the kind of quiet that means she is doing math you have not done yet. This year, a single filer can realize up to $48,350 in long-term capital gains and pay 0 federal tax on them. 0. The standard deduction adds another $14,600 on top of that. You are pulling $46,000. You are under both thresholds. Then she tells you about the other line. Your health insurance comes through the ACA marketplace. The subsidy phases out at 400% of the federal poverty level. For a single person this year, around $62,600. Not a gradual reduction, a cliff. $1 over and the subsidy disappears entirely. The 0% capital gains bracket ends at $48,350. The ACA cliff begins at $62,600. Between those two numbers, there is $14,000 of room where you can live, stay covered, and pay almost nothing in federal income tax. Not a loophole. Just 2 sets of rules that interact when you live where the interaction matters. Most people never live there. You do now. 6 weeks after you stop working, the market falls 8% in 4 days. You watched markets move like this before from behind a paycheck that kept arriving regardless. Now there is no paycheck. The number going down is your income source. You call Teresa. She asks one question. How many years of expenses do you have in cash and short-term bonds? 2 years, you say. Then the market does not need to do anything for you right now, she says. It just needs to exist. You close the app. You go for a walk. The market recovers over the following weeks, the way it usually does. What you learn from those 4 days is not that the strategy is wrong. It is that the strategy only works as much as your ability to leave it alone when leaving it alone is the last thing you want to do. You understood that intellectually for 15 years. Now you have to understand it the other way. 3 months out, someone at a dinner party asks what you do. You say you are retired. They ask how old you are. You say 38. She is a doctor, 42, still carrying student loans, still building toward a number she will hit in her mid-50s. She asks how, genuinely, with a pen in hand quality. 15 years of spending about a third of what I made, you tell her, and putting the rest in an index fund. That's it? She says. That's it, you say. She nods in a way that says she believes you and does not at the same time. Because if it is that simple, then the shape of her own life means she made different choices, not just different luck. Most people are not ready to look at it that way yet. You were not either, when you were still inside it. You still open the account most mornings. Not out of worry, out of habit, the same habit that built it. The number moves, some months up, some months in a direction that makes the morning harder. You sit with it the same way you sat with Teresa's $14,000 of room, doing arithmetic nobody else in your life has to do before breakfast. Marcus still sends messages from conference rooms. Teresa is still in her strip mall office. Gary still has the best roses on the block. What stays with you is smaller than any of it. A trail outside Golden on a Wednesday at 10:30. A library that opens at 9. A notification from your brokerage in a grocery line, landing in your chest as something quieter than triumph. There was no morning where everything changed all at once. There was just 15 years of a gap between what came in and what went out, building quietly in the background of a life that looked ordinary to everyone watching. And then one Thursday, with a cold cup of coffee and a number on a screen, the gap said it was done. You got the mornings. You did not get to stop counting. The next time someone asks what you do, you will know exactly what to say.